Let's create a slot on this front face using a position sketch. So another technique for creating a sketch on a particular plane is to go into the sketch icon. I found this in the model tab and the sketch icon called position sketch. When I click on that, if this is not pink, you have to click on this. So that's off, and this, when you click on it, is on. I'm going to pick this line right here for my first line, datum A. So I'm going to make sure to grab the edge. I'm going to grab this edge here, that's datum B. That establishes a local axis or a sketch axis on this point coordinates. H is going in the correct direction, vertical I want to go up, so I'm going to select reverse in the pop-up window. Reverse the V direction, and when I select OK, I'm going to be actually working on the grid on that face. So whatever coordinates I'm working off are going to come from here. Now I'm going to create a slot using the elongated hole. I have it set in my action pad. If you don't have it in your action pad, you'd go to sketch and find elongated hole here. Alright, I'm going to start my elongated hole. I'll go here and then come over and then click another spot. This line defines the center line of the elongated hole, which I reference to as a slot. I'm going to click this point right here, and then all I got to do is drag my cursor up. I'm not holding the button down, I'm just click and let go. Alright, now this is going a little bigger than I want. One of the things you can do is you can modify your grid. If I go to my preferences and I change my sketch to 8, it will go in 1/8 of an inch. Notice that the step here is 4. As soon as I hit tab button, they both are the same. I can select OK. Notice my grid looks a lot tighter. I'll repeat the steps using an elongated hole or a slot. I'm making sure that this is on so it'll snap to the point, which it should default to. I'll come here and start right about here. Now finish right about here, 1/8 of an inch short of the slot above. And that way when I come out, I can just have that kind of lined up. And what that does is it just makes it easier to make a 1/8 of an inch radius, which would be a 1/4 inch diameter, so the slot width would be a 1/4 inch. So if I click this position, it creates a slot. It always creates a constraint I don't like. So I'm just going to delete that constraint. Whoops. I'm going to delete that constraint. And what I like to do is double click the constraint to keep it on. One thing it doesn't do well is it doesn't dimension this very well, so I'm going to dimension this for it. This is the length of the slot, and then I'm going to dimension from this vertical line to this point. Okay, and that's how far over the start slot the slot starts. So I just make that a chain dimension, hit enter to accept that value. And I'm going to do another constraint from this bottom line. And I'm going to pick the line because I want that to stay horizontal. And I'm going to slide this out. I'm using my grid to help me place the dimensions where they belong. And I'll just hit enter to accept that. And I want to get this radius. Sometimes they're kind of tough. You got to keep moving around till you can actually get the circle to get selected. I'll move this out just so I can read it off the part, and I'll leave that at 1/8 of an inch. So just click off of it or hit enter to accept. The reason why this is not green all the way around is because I can put on a constraint over here. Oh, if I can get it there, right there. So there's a constraint, and now it's green because it's going to be 1/8 of an inch on both sides. You might wonder, well, why would you even do that? Why didn't it default to just be 1/8 of an inch for both? In some cases, you'll have a key slot where it goes different radiuses on different ends. Alright, in this case, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hit undo. And I'm going to delete this constraint. I'll just hit undo to get rid of it. And I'm going to take this line and this line. Oh shoot, I got to escape here. I have to tell it I'm done with the constraints by hitting escape or clicking on it to turn it off. And I'm going to select these two lines and make them horizontal. So using the control button, make sure you're grabbing the edge of the part, which can be tough because that solid's always in the way there. So I got to get it right on that line. I'll click on that. So don't hesitate to zoom up so you can grab things easier. I'll use the control button to grab this one. And in the constraints, the second one down is the dialog options. So I select on that dialog box, and I'm going to choose this to be horizontal. If these two lines are horizontal, then the radius on the other end is forced because these are horizontal, and it says here it has to be tangent. So therefore that radius would be the same. Alright, I'm going to now make a pocket. So we will exit the Sketch Workbench application, and I'm going to select the pocket feature. It's found under the pad feature, so I have to hit the down arrow for the pad feature, and there's pocket. So I have the pocket feature active, and it's just going to go all the way through the way it's currently set up. So I don't want to go all the way through the part. I'm going to change that depth to 1/4 inch, and now that pocket is 1/4 inch deep. Sometimes making this color different helps identify that. You should always expand the tree and see what you're doing. I just added this pocket. I'm going to go to properties and change the color. I'm going to choose the color just at random. Let's pick, let's say salmon color. Apply and OK. When I click off the part, you can see that I have a slot in here. Okay. See if you can put the same slot on the opposite side without any directions from me. If you can't figure it out, you can continue on with this video, and I'll show you how it's done. So what I do is I rotate to the other side so I can see it, and I'm going to go to Model tab and use Position Sketch again. Under the Position Sketch, I'm going to select the datum edge, which would be the first line here, making sure I'm grabbing the edge and wait for it to say edge. Select this edge. Again, I wait for it to say edge, and then I'm going to reverse this vertical. Whoops. It went the opposite direction on me. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to swap. Now this is, oh, okay, that should be reverse horizontal. Sorry. Horizontal should be this way, vertical should be this way. So just reverse or swap until you get this orientation matching mine. Got horizontal and vertical. I'll simply hit OK to go into that sketch profile. Notice it's creating a new sketch. Alright, I'm going to sketch that same thing under the Sketch tab. Use the elongated hole, or if you have it in your action pad, you can use it here. And I'll just go to this point, slide over here to this point, slide out and click a position. I'm going to try and click on this dimension and hit enter and then delete to get rid of it. I'm going to try something a little different here. I'm going to highlight, sorry, I'm going to slide down. I'm going to highlight this profile with the axis and I'm going to try and do an auto constrain, see if it can't just figure it out for me. So I'll go to auto constrain and select OK. It dimensioned to the tangent and to the tangent. It does a horrible job of dimensioning this for me. The only dimension it did right was none of them, except for this radius dimension. So when it comes to slots, you pretty much got to dimension them on your own. The auto constraints does a terrible job of it. Let me show you how to do that again. So one thing I could do is I could highlight this, just the slot itself without the axis, and hit auto constrain and just select OK. And one thing it does I don't like, it dimensions. You got to make sure I zoom up close so you can grab what you want to grab. I'm trying to grab the dimension and not the face. I'm waiting for it to say offset or move it around, move it off the part, try and get on that. It's just horrible. So now it says offset. I'm just going to move it off the part so it's not grabbing the part. See, this time it did it right. For some reason, it does it right when I don't have that axis. This is what I want. I want that length dimension to the center points and not to the tangents. And I want a radius dimension. The dimension I deleted was a dimension from the center line to this point up here. I'm like, what? That's not what you want. You want a radius dimension. This is called a full radius. Okay, so I want a full radius dimension, and it added in those horizontal lines for me already. So when I dimension just the slot and go to constraint and constrain this line to this horizontal line and click a position, and I just hit enter to accept it. And I need one more constraint, so I hit constraint and grab as best I can that point. Again, you might have to zoom up to get that sucker. I even just rotate it a little bit, see if I can't get that point a little easier. I don't know if it got it. Let's grab this vertical line. No, it didn't get it. See if I can get that point. Come on, point. Show up there. See, it's grabbing a face right now, and I don't want that. I want to make sure I get the point that's buried in there, and they've made it so difficult to select. Back in the old days, it would default to try and get the point. I'll try and grab the line, and what it does is it puts a 90-degree angle. So I really got to get to that point. Usually I find it works better if I start with the point. So I'll zoom in close and see if I can't get to that point in there somehow. Now it says it's going to grab the point. So again, you may have to zoom in real close. Oh, it looks like I had that vertical line still selected. So I'll put this dimension down here and hit enter. Now, if you ever get it rotated and you want to flatten this out, what you can do is go to the View tab, and under that ISO view I've been showing you can also go normal to view, just to clock that straight. I would prefer to have this dimension aligned with this one down here, so I'm going to use the grid to help me align these. Okay, so that's how you get the slots dimensioned in there. Again, I'll go to standard and exit out of the sketch, and we'll create a pocket. So this is the pocket command here. It remembered the last depth I went with. I can select OK. Again, I'd like to color this so it makes it easier for me to see that. So I go to graphics and I'll go with that salmon color. Click off in no man's land. This is what my part looks like. You should be able to zoom in and out and rotate simple and easy, just like I'm doing it. Also, if you get all screwed up, you could always go to the ISO view and hit fit all in. Okay, and you can even zoom up a little bit closer and save it just like that.